It's the beginning of a brand new year. And a brand new year brings with it brand new beginnings. It's new beginnings, it's a new year, it's new opportunities, and it offers us a fresh new start. And what is so wonderful about the AIM companies and about all of our friends that we have, built relationships with from around the world is that we have got so much to offer people in the line of hope and a future where we can be contributing towards improving their quality of life. And so today we're going to hear another wonderful testimony of just that. But you know what? AIM is 40 years old this year. And I know that if we didn't find ourselves in the circumstances which we do, we would have been celebrating all around the world because it's a very, very big achievement. It just helps to confirm for us how proud we can be of a company that has been solid, that has stood the test of time, and that is still the pioneers with their flagship product, the green leaf of barley. And we can be so proud to absolutely share that with the world with confidence. And I know that, first of all, what's so important is your story. Your story counts because you see, your story and your testimony is something that nobody else can challenge. We live in very challenging times, and we live in times where opinions and belief systems are so divided. But you know what? Your testimony is authentic and it's transparent and it's coming from your heart. And that is something which people don't challenge. And so today we have an amazing testimony that we're looking forward to. But first of all, just before we started this recording, I've been chatting with Rita in Canada, and I know we have other Canadian friends on board. I don't want to call out names, but I see you, and I know it's very, very cold where you are. And then I was chatting with Charlotte earlier today, and Charlotte was just showing me the camera out of her bedroom window in the deep, deep, thick snow. So you're on the other side of the world to us, and you have different weather to us. But it's our time to say that we've been celebrating our summer holidays. So it's been nice and warm and sunny here in South Africa. And Charlotte and her husband Keith and their friend Ralph were very excited when 2 or 3 years ago they came to South Africa, did some conferences here with us, and traveled with us around South Africa. So Charlotte, I know that you have been in our home, we've been in your home, and today from our home, from our house here in sunny South Africa, on the port of St. Francis to your home, where it's snowing and cold, and I know that you have Leah with you today. And isn't this an amazing opportunity that we have via Zoom to virtually connect like this? So we're coming into all of your homes today. And to those of you who are going to be listening to the recording, we trust that it's going to be a blessing to you as well. So last year, we had Leah share with us about her one twin son who was in a very, very, very serious burn accident. And it was absolutely amazing how his twin brother had to donate for him and they had to graft his skin. And Leah, you shared your testimony with such tenderness. And I have to tell you that afterwards, many people did say they had tears in their eyes. And I know you have a large family, and I'm sure you're going to tell us more about that now. But we believe, and what we're going to hear about today is that you have had another son who has also been in a tragic accident. So we just commend you for being so brave and for being not only a wonderful mother and wife, and into your family and in your community, the difference you've made, but we know that you also have made a difference with AIM and done your own little business and been very successful in everything you've put your hand to. And at the same time, your family has always been your priority. Thank you for your humbleness. Thank you for your wonderful character traits where you have offered up your time now to share with us. And then I want to thank you, Charlotte. Thank you for opening up your home. Thank you for your real servant heart. Charlotte, you have served the Amish community in your area for, I think you and I both have been with AIM for 24 years this year. And we have our upline listening to us today. We have Cheryl, my upline in South Africa. We have Michelle Long, our upline in America, listening in. And I'm excited. I'm excited to see such wonderful names joining us today live, because you are all part of our wonderful AIM family. Okay, Charlotte, so I'm going to hand it over to you. And I think we're going to start straight away. I just want to see, we've had a message from Monique. Monique, I think you are from the Bahamas, but you're living in Canada, if I'm not mistaken. But you've said, hope your 2022 is off to a fantastic start. I've missed you all so much. Thank you for that. All right, Charlotte, and just looks like we are struggling to have Charlotte come on live. Charlotte, are you there?
Okay, can you hear us now?
Yes, we can hear you, see you. Great.
Well, we're just so happy to have Leah with us today. She's a wonderful person to have on our team, and she has a wonderful story. I say a wonderful story. She's a wonderful person, and she has such a servant's heart and serves so many people, and we're excited that she can share with you today. Thank you, Leah.
Hi, once again, friends, far and near, some that I've never seen, but I guess you're my friends anyway. Can you hear me okay? I guess I can't really hear you. I guess it would be okay.
Leah, we can hear you very nicely. See, very nicely. Thank you.
Okay. Might be able to get the view. I don't know.
Okay.
Let's
And
see.
that's okay. I think it was like this the last time.
Speaker.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Okay. If you just
Okay, yeah. Okay. Yes, I'm very humbled to be here before you guys today. I'm sure every last one of you has a testimony yourself and has a story. This story or this testimony is quite different than the one I had the last time I was here. It's about my oldest son. He is 29 years old. His name is Nathan, but we always call him Nate. So that's what I'll call him today. This was in 2020. He has struggled for about 4 years. He really struggled with drugs. And that is a very unpleasant thing to struggle with. I don't know if you guys have ever had any experience with that, but we knew that he was in a position in his life that he didn't want to be in. And we wanted to help him, but a lot of people that are in drugs don't want your help. They want your help, and yet it's hard for them to accept your help. And so we were just asking God to help him. And our way of thinking was that, he would say, hey, I'm sick and tired of this life, which he had gone through a rehabilitation once, and he had just come home and had started a new job a month before our other son Jerry's accident. And then his accident was, and we were at the hospital all the time, and our life was really just kind of in a uproar. And slowly by slowly, he got back into drugs again. And in May of 2020, it was really bad. He was in a really bad way, and we were just really begging God to intervene. Sorry, I'm having a hard time. So and he did. He was in an automobile accident. He was driving a car and he was going too fast, and he took a stop sign, and he hit somebody, and it swirled his car around, and he ended up with a TBI. And it was kind of amazing. It is kind of amazing how God works. It's not kind of amazing. It is amazing how God works. His ways are so much higher than our ways. And so the same day in 2016, Tuesdays after Memorial Day, a life flight took our 11-year-old son to Akron to the burn center. And then 4 years later, on the same day, it was always also the Tuesday after Memorial Day, the same life flight took our oldest son to Akron to a hospital, but that was that hospital was Akron General, and COVID-19 had just started at that time. So we found out he was in an accident, and we found out that they're life flighting him to Akron. So we started off to the hospital, but we forgot that it was COVID-19. Do you want to hand me a tissue? Oh, that's okay. Thank you. We had kind of forgotten that it was COVID-19 was going on, and never even thought of it that we couldn't get into the hospital. But so we came up. On the way up, they actually called us and told us if we're there before they take him out of the emergency room, we can see him.
This was 2020.
Yes, this was in 2020. And so we were able to see him before they took him out of the emergency room. Maybe, I'm not sure, were we allowed to be in there for 10 minutes, but he was totally out. Like he didn't respond, although being that his life was in the situation it was, we were very concerned about his salvation. And so we just prayed for him, and we told him, if he can hear us. We could not tell if he could hear us or not, but my husband just told him if he can hear us to just ask God to be forgiven, so that if God chooses to take him, so that he's ready. And he had a tears like down his cheek, which was wonderful, because we felt that he heard us. And so they sent us home, and we were not allowed to come in to see him again because of COVID. And that was really hard, although I sometimes felt that we were maybe able to give it over to the Lord better because we were not there. We had no choice. It wasn't like we could be there for him because we weren't allowed to. So he was in ICU for 2 weeks. He never responded. We would talk with them on the phone. Once a day, we were allowed to call in and see how he was doing. And so they called us one day, and they wanted to put in a trach and a feeding tube. He had a feeding tube, but they wanted to put it through his stomach. So being that he was having surgery, we were allowed to go in for 2 days, the day of surgery and the day after. So we were allowed to go up. And so we did, me and my husband were allowed to go up. That was, no siblings were allowed in, just the parents. So we went up and spent those 2 days in there, and they called us and told us we're allowed to come up, but they said he does not respond at all to anything. They would sometimes put the phone to his ear so that we could talk to him. And sometimes his heart rate would go up and sometimes not. But the morning we walked in, he was laying down in his bed, and we walked in, and my husband went on one side and I went on the other side, and we took a hold of his hands, and my husband said, he said, "Nathan, Mom and Dad are here." And he sat up straight in bed. There was no doubt that he knew we were there. There was no doubt that he could hear us. We could tell right away. And he tried to squeeze our hands. And we noticed that he had much more, he could squeeze much harder with his left hand than his right hand. And to this day, his left hand is stronger than his right hand. But then we knew that he actually can hear us, and we didn't know how much he can comprehend, but he knew that he could hear us. So we spent the day there, and he was in and out all day. Sometimes we could tell he was awake and would know that we're there, but sometimes not. And then the second day we were allowed in, they made this decision to move him to another hospital. And then we were allowed to go in a couple hours a day. Oh, I have to think. Yeah, we were allowed to go in a couple hours a day, every day. And slowly by slowly, we could tell. And even when they moved him to the other hospital, that hospital called us and told us to find a nursing home to put him in. They said he will never walk again. He will never feed himself. He will never amount to much. They don't think that he will ever talk. So they told us to find a nursing home to put him in because he was 27 years old. And they just didn't think that we would want to care for a 27-year-old boy that wouldn't walk or talk or know anything. And I told the guy, I said, I don't care what state my child is in. My child will not be put into a nursing home. I will take him into my house and I will care for him. And he was like, oh, okay. Well, if that's what you choose. And it was about a week later, one day, they called us. We weren't allowed to go in right at start. Now that I think of it, it took a couple weeks, I think, before we were allowed to go in, because one day the doctor called us himself and he said, I don't know what's going on, but he's moving, and he was just doing a lot of things that they never thought he would ever do. And then when the doctor was done, I said, so what you're telling me is that my son is a miracle? And he said, yeah, there is no other word to describe it. He's a miracle. So finally, we were allowed to go in. I think it was like 2 hours every afternoon. Somebody was allowed to go in, his siblings or his parents. And so we took turns every day. Somebody went up. And at first, I think it took 10 days after we were allowed in before he said a word and or even recognized us. We would go in and talk to him, but he did not recognize us. And one day our oldest daughter was in, and that day he recognized her, and he tried to speak, but he couldn't. He really tried hard to speak, but he couldn't. And he tried to tell her something, but she could not understand it. And he was so discouraged because she could not understand him. But when it was time for her to go, he just grabbed hold of her and he did not want to let go. So we knew he knew who she was, but he could not talk. He tried to talk, but he couldn't. So he was very exasperated. But the next day, so that was on a Saturday, and the next day she said she wants to go up again. Maybe if the same person comes up, maybe he can, maybe he can recognize her again. So the next day she went in again. And when she came in, he had actually spoken to the nurse that morning, and he asked her why he's in there. And she said, you were in a bad car wreck, and that's why you're in here. And he said, the first thing he said, and that day she could understand him. He just talked really quiet. She had to really work hard to understand what he's saying, but she could understand him. And the first question that he asked was, did I kill somebody? And she said, no. And he said, thank God. So it was so amazing that after being out for so long, that those thoughts even came to his mind, that he was concerned that he didn't hurt somebody. And from that day on, slowly by slowly, at first he could only talk quiet. He could not talk loud. But from that day, slowly by slowly, he moved forward. His accident was May 26th, and he was in rehab for a while then, and he came home from rehab in August 9th, I think it was. He came home from rehab. And when he came home from rehab, he was able to walk, but they wanted us to have a belt around his waist and take a hold of the belt so he doesn't fall, because they said it's very critical that he doesn't fall and hit his head anywhere. But he was a very determined boy. And when he came home, he said he is not wearing that belt. So we let him go. He was 27 years old, and we let him go. He was more like a child when he came home. Like, his mind was more like a child. But he tripped once over something. I'm not sure what it was, that he fell on the floor. And that was okay, because it just made him more aware of his weaknesses, and that he is, capable of falling. And so it made him more careful. But slowly by slowly, like when he came home, he could eat by himself, but he was very sloppy. Like he always had a mess on his lap or on the floor. He always had a mess, but we just let him go. We let him eat by himself. He had a certain spot at the table where he always sat down. It was at a corner of the table where he had more, he just felt he can handle himself better at that corner. But so that was in 2020. So it's been almost 2 years since that accident. And he right away, I started giving him AIM products, of course. And he wasn't as his mind was like a small child, but he was always happy. He was so happy. And when we were thinking of him getting out of his drugs, we were thinking about going to rehab and all things like that. But God had a much better way. Even though he had to go through a lot, God used this car accident to get him away from those friends, away from his drug addiction. It's just amazing how God works. And when he came home from the hospital, he was so happy. He was just like a happy little child. And it was really hard for our oldest children to accept him like that, because he was their oldest brother, and yet he acted like their younger sibling. It was really hard for some of them to accept, but we just tried to tell him, we would much rather have him in this shape than being, his mind being 100%, and yet he's destroying his mind by using drugs. That was so hard on me. And I guess it was really hard for me because of all that we had gone through with our younger son, Jerry, that had been burnt. And we worked so hard to try to heal his body. And then my oldest son was destroying his body by using drugs. That was so hard on me. But yeah, sometimes you just don't understand why things are the way they are. But that was how he dealt with his problems, and it was not the way to do, but that's just how it was. So when he came home, we started using the AIM products, and I didn't know anything about, so he had a TBI, is what it was called, a traumatic brain injury. And so that kind of, I'm not sure if I would say it destroys the neurons, some neurons in the brain. And so somebody explained to us, so that your neurons, it's like kind of a spark plug. Some neurons would fire, then some wouldn't, and then some would fire again and some wouldn't, if that makes any sense. But I really feel he had a lot of inflammation in his neurons, is what I have come to the conclusion. Or oxidative stress. Oxidative stress is like rust. And so I mean, this is kind of what I have come to the conclusion, that so if his neurons were, damaged so badly, it caused inflammation and oxidative stress. So I would give him Prepzymes on an empty stomach. I would also give him Proancinol 2000 for the oxidative stress, antioxidants. But the Garden Trio was the main stable thing. The Garden Trio, and also Flora-Food was and calcium. I would put calcium into his. I learned that calcium, if you have sufficient calcium, it helps to calm down your body and your muscles and your nerves. And so I would fix him a Garden Trio with calcium and Flora-Food. And that was the main thing that he, it was a big difference here. My 11-year-old son was my 11-year-old son, and I could say, hey, Jerry, this is what you need to do, and he would do it. So now I was dealing with my 27-year-old son, and I would tell him what I would think that he should do, but for him to have mom tell him what to do, sometimes it was kind of hard. And he really took, he was really good at taking the Garden Trio. But if I wanted him to take more things, sometimes he would do it and sometimes he wouldn't do it. And it was just, so he had some mood swings, not terribly, and it seemed the longer the time went on, so when he came home, he was this happy, happy boy. But as time went on and his mind became clear, his old self started coming back again. And I think it was from the trauma to his head, that some people would have a headache with such a trauma. He never had a headache, but he still, I'm not sure. Sometimes I thought it seemed like he wasn't sure what he was feeling, but he just wasn't feeling good. And so he went into depression, actually. It was so hard to watch. He went from this happy little boy that came home from the hospital into a deep depression. And I think that's just something that somebody with a traumatic brain injury really deals with, is depression. But I just kept on giving him this Garden Trio with the calcium and the flora food. And I would try to get him to take some other things, but sometimes he would, sometimes he wouldn't. But one day, so he had this spot on the couch that he would usually sit. And we noticed that he would more often sit at that spot on the couch and not say a word. And that was his go-to. If something didn't go right, he would come in and sit on that couch. And I had a plaque on the wall that said, live your life with love, charity, and grace. And I never gave it much thought, but the spot where he sat on the couch, that was right in front of him. And I guess he read that and he read that and he read that over and over, because he sat on that couch many a time. And we could tell that he was going into a deeper and deeper depression. And we tried to talk with him about it, but sometimes he couldn't, sometimes he couldn't. But one day he sat there and he said, and I think I'm not sure what prompted him to do it, but he just read that aloud. He just said, live your life with love, grace, and charity, or I'm not sure, something like that. And it, just the way he said it, we could hear that he was frustrated, but we all started laughing. And then he started laughing. And something broke right then. Something broke in his depression, that we could tell that he started getting better. And every day he would take his Garden Trio and the flora food. And one day, after he drank his Garden Trio, he said, you know what? I can tell you one thing. This stuff has helped me get out of my depression. And it was so amazing, because he never talked about his depression. He did not acknowledge to us that he's depressed, but we knew that he was, but he never really talked about it. But I didn't even know if he thinks that, the Garden Trio was really doing any good for him or not, but he always was very willing to take it. And because at the time I had thought he should be taking a lot of omega, and I really feel it would have helped his brain. And I really wanted to give him more like the fiber blend and the Fit and Fiber, because, and also composure. And he did sometimes take composure. And I would say, I would really have to talk to him, and I would really have to say, Nathan, I really think this will help you sleep better. And he tried, but I think people that are dealing with a traumatic brain injury deal with things that we cannot grasp if we've never gone through that. But still, he always took the Garden Trio. And so he was doing really good till this summer in 2021. Then his hearing started. He was supposed to have a hearing before his accident about another incident, but COVID had come and they had postponed it. And then he was in his accident, and then he wasn't able to do it. So this summer they started with his legal action then. And so he had a hearing, and then it was decided. So he was sentenced to 60 days, no, 90 days in jail, I think it was. Or was it? No, it was 120. It was 4 months from July 1st to November. Yeah, it was 4 months. So he was sentenced to jail. And for somebody in his position, like his mind had become more like an adult again, but not exactly. I mean, he's still not exactly like an adult, but more so than what he was. So he had been in jail before, and it never bothered him. Jail had just never faced him. But this time when he was sentenced to jail, he really went into a depression again. And we tried to tell him, you could be getting so much more. We tried to just be on the positive, but it was really, really hard for him. And when he went into jail, he was not allowed to take his supplements along. And he was using the Garden Trio with his calcium, the flora food, and he was using some other things too, but he was not allowed to take anything along into jail. So while he was in jail, they finally noticed that he's not sleeping at all. He would be awake for days. And so they ended up putting him on anxiety and Zoloft, which is an anxiety and depression medication, and also on sleeping pills. And when he was in there, they had him on this medication all the while, and he was happy because they made him happy with that medication. And it was kind of amazing to us how happy he was all the while he was in there, although we could tell that it's probably a more of a surface happiness. It wasn't like a peaceful happiness. Excuse me. And so when he came out, I wasn't sure what's going to happen, because they told him that they will not send any Zoloft or anything home with him. So I had kind of thought he should probably get something from a doctor, because I was afraid if he just goes off that medication, he would crash. But he didn't want to. When he came home, he had gained 28 pounds from the medication. That anybody that goes to the jail is not going to gain 28 pounds from the food. So he gained 28 pounds. And when he came home, his whole face, his whole head was covered in pimples, yellow pimples. His back was covered in pimples. So you could tell that the food in there and the medication was no good for him. And when he saw himself in the mirror, when he came home, he said, I am not, because we had gotten a hold of our family doctor, and he had given him a prescription for Zoloft, so he could back down slowly. Excuse me. But when he saw himself in the mirror, he was like, I am not taking one more pill. So I said, okay. But I wasn't sure what's going to happen, because I had a feeling he's going to crash if he stops his Zoloft just like that. And he did. But we just tried to give him a lot of AIM supplements, and I tried to give him a lot of thank you, a lot of fiber blend and fit and fiber to try to get all that stuff out of his colon. So try to get the chemicals out of his colon, and composure and flora food, lots of flora food. And we made it through. It was a hard couple weeks at first, but we made it through. But now he has lost 26 pounds again, and he has no more pimples. And he keeps seeing himself in the mirror, and he keeps, saying he is so amazed at how his body has reacted to using the AIM products again and eating a normal diet. And so now he is back to working 5 days a week. He can't do hard physical labor, but he has a job that he's able to do. He loves his job. He loves going to work. And spiritually, he is he keeps saying, I'm not a Christian yet, but I want to be a Christian. So with that mindset, you know, I'm a person that I like to go from A to Z right now. But I have learned that God can teach you a lot of things while you're traveling that road from A to Z. And he can teach you much more than what you do if you get there right now. So I'm satisfied with him. He has a friend. He has a very good friend, and he always says, I want to be like him. I know I'm not there yet, but I want to be like him. So as long as he has that mindset, you know, I can tell slowly by slowly, you know, he's making a progress in the right direction. And I was very concerned about his health, but I was much more concerned about his salvation. But I have learned, I had a write-up that I had wanted to bring along just so I can read it, but I forgot it. But I have learned that a lot of people go somewhere for counseling. And I think that is well and good. But I feel the Bible is the best counseling that we can find. And I also feel that if your body is not in good shape with nutrition, you're not quite able, you might feel so terrible that you might not be able to even benefit from your counseling. I feel there's so many people that go somewhere for counseling, but they're not getting the nutrition they need to build up their body so that they can use the counseling that they get properly. Because then they come home from counseling and they fall back into their same rut that they were. But I feel it's because their body needs nutrition to help them keep their good mindset. And I never had realized before, I think there's really a connection between the gut and the brain. If the gut is not in good shape, I don't think anybody's going to be able to think the way they should or feel the way they should. And I think it's this was my experience with my son. I thought it helped him when he took like the omega, but for some reason he was not very keen on taking the omega. And I learned from him, but this might not be for everybody, but I learned from him, if we focus on his gut and build his cells with healthy, you know, with good enzymes, build his cells, that really helped his mind. But, you know, there might be people that need much more for their mind. But I have found with working with my son that if we really focus on good diet, keeping the gut moving, keeping the gut in good shape, keeping the good gut microbiome, that it really, really helps his mind. I can just tell in his mood, his mood is so much better. And I can also tell that, you know, he doesn't have the longing for his friends, like even when he was in jail. So while he was in jail, it hurt me so much to have him go to jail, because I knew he would be with people that were no good for him. But after he come out of there, you know, so then his mind was kind of programmed in that direction again. But just being away from those people again and having good nutrition and Christian friends, you know, that totally changed his mindset again. So I mean, the word of God and good nutrition go hand in hand. God comes first. God comes first. Absolutely. We never want to have nutrition take the place of God. But I also feel that people can do God's work and serve Christ much better if their body is in shape to do it, if that makes sense. Because if your body is run down and you're having negative thoughts, then it's really hard to be a servant of God. And that was one thing that I had to really, really work hard with at the point where he was in depression so bad. I had to myself really, really focus on God, because I learned if I focus on my son's problems, it just gives me negative thoughts. But if I focus on the power of God and that he works in his way and in his time, then I could deal with it better. But if we have something like that in our life that's not going the way we think that it should be, if we can just stop and be still and know that I am God, if we can give our lives to Christ and help him, have him carry the load for us, then we can, then our problems don't seem so big. Because at first I was focusing on my son's problems and I was not focusing on the power of God. And I had to thought train. I had to focus on the power of God. And then he gave me relief. And he took my cares and took care of them, because we can't of ourselves, we can't. But so nutrition is very, very important, but I really feel it's also very, very important to have good thoughts and to train yourself to have good thoughts. Sometimes when my son was in such deep depression and I did not know what to do, and being a mom, you think you should do something. You just think you have to be doing something. But the best thing that I could do was just to close my eyes and focus on being in God's presence and know that he will take care of it in his own time. So the journey with my son's car accident has been so different from the journey of my 11-year-old son's burn accident. And I think the difference was partly their age. My son that was in the car accident was 27 years old. And, we were so worried about his salvation. And, my son that was in the burn accident, he was 11. He was a young child and he wasn't doing anything bad when it happened. And so I think that made it a little bit more stressful, but it was just because for too long, I thought I should be the one doing something. And when I finally realized of myself, I can't do anything anyway. It's only through the grace of God. And so I just really tried to give everything over to God and let him do his work so that he can accomplish what he wants to accomplish. And I thought I was close to God. I really did. I thought I was really close to God when this happened. But I have found a much, much deeper connection with God through this. So I have a saying at home, and I had also thought I'd bring that along just so I can read it to you, but it's something about if we don't understand the way God works, sometimes we would think our life is a total mess. but it's actually God working through us and in us. And it's just, if we can learn to trust him, he knows what's best, and he knows what we need. And my son went, I was telling my son, we were discussing how we were praying for his deliverance when this accident happened. Then he said, well, I've come to the conclusion, you better watch out what you pray for, because you don't know what you'll get. And I said, well, I know what you mean. You know, we were praying for deliverance and we got deliverance, not in the way that we thought, but still it was deliverance, and it has helped us in many ways. But so with that accident, and with our other son's accident, our family has had a lot of stress. And because of that stress, I think we've all dealt with some health issues. But I don't know where I can go for any better nutrition than AIM, because it's, you know, it's funny, there's still 9 people living in our house, and I'm not sure that any one of us takes the same amount of the same AIM products, you know, in a day's time. You just really have to figure out what it is that you need, and take it in the amount that you need it. But I thank God for the AIM products, for the people that put all the effort into teaching us what the AIM products are about. You know, I just love to be with Charlotte, because she knows so much, has worked with people for so many years, knows so much about the products. And I just love to be with people that have been in it for a long time. We have used it for 22 years, but all those years we were just maintaining, and we loved it. But I have come to, and it has helped me to learn more about how rich the AIM products are. There's just no product that I have found that is put together as well as the AIM products. I'm just so thankful for everybody that works at the AIM company to put together these products, all the people that studied how to put together these products, and the people that do the work. I'm so thankful that we have people that take the time to do that. And I guess that's why, well, when our son was in the hospital and there were so many people helping us, I said, well, I know one thing, we're in debt for life. And it's not like I feel like I am in debt, but I know how good it feels to have somebody help you when you're in need. And I guess that's why I'm so passionate about helping other people. If it just really hurts me to see anybody struggling or hurting in life. After all that we've been through, I'm thinking there's no reason for anybody to be hurting. But you know, if you can figure out what to use or how to use it, and there's a lot of people, I know nutrition is expensive. And there's a lot of people that say, well, how can you take so many products? I really try to take, you know, so all the things that we've been dealing with, we've had to take a lot of AIM products. But if you're maintaining, if you're in good shape and you're maintaining, I always feel that Barley Life and Herbal Fiber Blend go a long, long way. So if you're struggling financially and you want something and yet you feel like you can't afford it, I always feel Barley Life and Herbal Fiber Blend go a long, long way in helping somebody. But yeah, every individual just has to do what they can do. I don't know, is there anything that you want me to touch on yet, Joan? Or that's kind of my testimony about our son's accident. I'm not even sure what time of the day it is.
Thank you, Leah. We still do have some time left to spend with you. I seem to be very composed, but I really want you to know that you have absolutely touched so many of our hearts today. And the messages have just been pouring in of all the messages are just coming in as saying how much you are really speaking into people's hearts and into people's lives. And I have to just say, personally, it just makes me long to be with all of you again, because just being in your presence is so uplifting, so humbling to just know of how you have lived your life with such faith and hope and trust. Maybe I can ask you a few questions, Leah, just to also confirm. We do have some new people with us. We have a lot of people who've been with AIM for many years, just like we have. But there are a few new people with us, and they're just a little bit confused. So I just want to say to them, Charlotte is a very dear friend, and Charlotte and I have really done a lot of conferences together and traveled a lot together. And Charlotte lives in the little village in Ohio, and all the Amish community also live in this little village nearby. In fact, there's a whole lot of little villages, and because I've been there, it's just difficult to explain, but just how beautiful it is. The Amish countryside, and I call it Amish countryside because so many of our lovely Amish community live there, but it's like rolling green hills, and it's just so incredibly pretty. And I know when I've been there in the fall, which you call fall and we call autumn time, the beautiful colors of the oak trees and the leaves falling, it's just so beautiful. And your testimony, and just to have been in your presence and to hear the wonderful testimonies is really very, very encouraging. So I want you to know that it might seem strange to you, or very difficult for you to comprehend that you are touching people's lives right across the ocean with your story. And I want to thank you for the wonderful way that God is using you in just being so real with us. You know, we live in a world where there isn't much, sadly, people are just living such rushed, instant lives that are just so, can become so superficial. But here we're really speaking rawly from the heart today. And we appreciate that you have so generously offered up your time to do that with us. So I know that many people are saying thank you. But Leah is, okay, so it sounds like I'm not very clear. Can you hear me better now? But Leah is okay, Leah is one of the Amish ladies. Hold on, just mute them. Leah is one of the Amish ladies that live in Charlotte's community, and Charlotte is hosting Leah today in her home. So just so that you, for our new ladies, you can just differentiate between Charlotte and Leah. So Charlotte has invited Leah into her home today, and Leah has been our presenter. Now, Charlotte will be speaking to us in the near future as well. And I know one of Charlotte's products she's passionate about is Prepzymes, and we'll be speaking about that in the future too. Leah, just tell us quickly, so how many children do you have?
I have 9 living children, and I have 1 child in heaven.
Okay, and I mean, you look so young. I cannot believe how young you're looking. Leah, when you said your son is 27 years old, I cannot believe how young you are looking. And I cannot imagine. And I think so many of us cannot imagine how some people really struggle to juggle 2 children, you know, and here you have, you've raised so many wonderful children. And I like what you said too, Leah, is that the 2 products is Herbal Fiber Blend and Barley Life. And those were the two products, and I'm sure Charlotte, I'm sure many of us will agree, those are the products that we started with right in the beginning, was Barley Life and Herbal Fiber Blend. And isn't it interesting how all these years later, we still go back to those two main products? Something else you said, very interesting, that we want to follow through with in this year as well, is more and more research is coming forward on the relationship between the brain and the gut, and how important it is if you put good flora back into the gut. The brain functions so much better. There's such a connection there. In fact, I was just reading recently on many, not only brain injuries, but traumatic diagnosed conditions where you can trace it back to poor gut health. So we really have an opportunity here to with the AIM products, to improve people's quality of life. I can't read out all the messages to you, but I know somebody else has said that you've given them hope with their 28-year-old daughter who suffers from depression and gut issues as well. I just want to take a moment as well to just do a disclaimer and just remind the listener that the AIM products are not there to treat, heal, or cure any disease. We are not able to recommend that people stop using their medication or go or stop going under a doctor's supervision if they are with a doctor. So just remember, the AIM products are there to supplement alongside our journey towards better health. All right, so, and thank you. Monique is saying when she went on Barley Life and Omega, her energy went through the roof. But I want to ask you another question, Leah. When we spoke about, and you did just briefly mention, if somebody really struggles financially, Barley Life and Herbal Fiber Blend are such good products to fall back on. But how have you managed to be able to keep your family on the AIM products? And have you looked a little bit into marketing the AIM products or sharing it and just sharing your story with further into your community and your sphere of influence?
Yes, actually, like I said, for 16 years, we just used it for maintenance. So it took quite a bit, but I guess I thought I was too busy to do much of like trying to get a downline for myself. And my husband had a good job, and I guess we put more of our money into nutrition than some people put it into their homes. Some people put it into vacations. We did some small vacations, but we never went on big vacations. I guess that's where we spent more our money on. But then since our son's accident, it's just kind of crazy how it spirals. So if you have a testimony like that, there's people that, and we have, we've been put on a committee to help people with burns. And so, we go out of our area to help people with burns. And so people have come to, and I guess it's such a miracle that a boy that was 97% burn and is 7 to 8% grafted can go to work 5 days a week, work a 12-hour day, and be in good shape. It's a miracle. So people hear about this, and I get phone calls from out of state people that say, I have heard that your son was burned, and they're also burn survivors. And then they're like, well, so what do you do? And so that's just kind of, and I was just telling Charlotte, so we learned that with our son, that a lymphatic drainage treatment is very beneficial for a burn survivor. And so 2 years ago, I went and took a 2-day class to learn to do that myself. And my idea was to help burn survivors. And then this summer I went and did another 2-day class, and I'm not certified yet, but I have learned quite a bit. And so about 3 months ago, a lady called me and said, now she heard that I know something about a lymphatic drainage treatment, and her son has a swollen lymph if I would work on him. I said, well, I can try, but I'm not certified. I don't have license, but I mean, I can try if you want me to. And she was like, oh, I wish you would. So I did. So she had some good, so I mean, it really helped. And so her neighbor had an open sore in her leg since May of 2021. And she heard about the lymphatic drainage, and she called and asked if she could come and if I would work on her. She had an open sore from May of 2021 till she came to me in December, was the first time she came. And I gave her a treatment. And a week later, she came back for her second treatment. And already there was a thin layer of skin on that open sore. So a lymphatic drainage treatment is very, very beneficial for a lot of reasons. And since then, then this lady talks with somebody, she knows somebody that's sick, and then now I'm having people come to my house for lymphatic drainage treatments. And I had thought I want to do it for burn survivors. I've only worked on one burn survivors. The others have all kinds of different issues. But so if they come for that, well, I know an open sore has to heal from the inside out. So I tell them what I have learned about nutrition. Well, they all want to get rid of their sore, so they want nutrition. And it just goes, I do not advertise or anything, but it just seems, I guess, if you've had so many testimonies from your own life and you share them, it just, it has actually become a business. It's phenomenal. Actually, what has happened in the last year, it's unreal. But it's all because of what I have learned, how, and it's because, I guess, if you're willing to learn, okay, so I tell people, you're willing to learn to bake, you're willing to learn to sew, you're willing to learn to do a lot of things. But if you're willing to learn to heal your body, it's very beneficial for you. And then if you share with people how this works, that's just how it goes. That's how it's been going for me. It's not, and it has helped, because with all the accidents that we've had to use a lot more AIM products than just maintaining. So that really, really helps out. If I can help people and have a downline and have an income from the AIM companies, that really helps out. Yeah. In 2006, my husband had a gun accident that he was hunting deer and the gun exploded. And so a 3-inch spring went out the back and went through his cheek and stopped right in front of his jugular. So it tore all his muscles and nerves in there. So, that was a head trauma also. And we've had to really deal with that. And actually he was blind for 24 hours, but we kept putting barley in him and barley. And well, in 24 hours, his vision came back. 2020, he had 20/20 vision again. But they tell us that eye heals fast too, if it's intact, and it can. So we've had no choice, but either we would have been broken by going the medical route. It would have taken a lot of money going the medical route, and we need the medical people. We do. I mean, without the medical people, I would have lost my husband and 2 of my sons. It's just that simple. But I feel that if we would have totally gone medical, they would have had so many side effects from all the medication that they would have taken, that they would not have been able to heal the way they have been using whole food products. Is what I feel. I'm not against anybody that goes medical, not at all. It's just what I've learned. A lot of medicines have side effects, and then you have to deal with the side effects. So we chose to go the natural route. And I guess in a way it's good, and in a way it's not good. So I have always been so when I was in school, I would stay up late at night to study because I thought I have to have 100% on my test. Like that's just how I was. I was not satisfied with a B or an A minus. I wanted 100%. And I guess that's kind of how I am with my family. I want them to have the best of health. And so I keep digging and digging and digging, and sometimes I'm like, just relax and think about something else. and sometimes in life you have to let go. Just like my son, I kept thinking, he should um, come closer to the Lord faster. I had to let go. I had to let go and let God. So sometimes it's a good thing to be like that, to think you have to have the best. And sometimes you have to let that lay down and just take what God's put into your hands. So, but I feel that's why too, maybe that I was so interested in, well, then I had my adrenal exhaustion and I knew how bad I felt when I wasn't feeling good. And to wake up in the morning and not feel good, that was not my cup of tea. I did not want to live with that. And so I just tried to learn more. What can I do? It took me a whole year to realize that, well, I can heal my body if I give it the right things to heal with. And so when I finally realized that, and it's just like I said, it's been tough because for a whole year I thought I cannot afford to do it. I cannot afford to do it because I had to take a lot of different supplements. But finally I was like, what good am I as a mom, as a wife, if I'm alive, but I'm not functioning the way God wants me to? I'm not much good, really. So that's why I was like, I guess we just dug deeper, and yeah, I just started taking more supplements, and I healed. But then we had also started, working with people in the burn situation, and I had, somewhat of an income from AIM. But I have 7 children still living at home. So they're all from the age of 17 to 27. So they are working out now, and they also have an income, and they help with the AIM products. It's not like I'm putting all the AIM products myself. So that really helps too. And it's unreal, but from 17 to 27, every single one of them takes the AIM products, and every single one, if they have this or that, they reach for the AIM products. I guess it's just because that's how they've been brought up. I don't know, but they don't go for, they don't go to the store and look for something at the store. They just don't. They're like, okay, mom, this is what I've got going. What do I need? And yeah, they all pitch in and they all help, get the AIM products too. So that's kind of how we have chuckled it.
Oh, thank you. That really is very, very special of how you've sown into your family's life and taken care of yourself, and you've had your priorities in place. So thank you. We've learned so much from you today, Leah. I know you have actually planted a seed in many, many people's lives, and we know it will grow to bear good fruit. And the same with you. You've been an absolute blessing, Cecily is saying, and you've touched so many lives today with your story. And that's what you continue to do, where you were sharing of how it just becomes an AIM business. You just get a downline from sharing your testimony. So I really want to encourage all of those who are listening today. You have your own testimony too. And every house has trials and tribulations. We all have obstacles that we face. And so we can be encouraged that can be turned into an opportunity. We can choose. Life is about choices. We can choose, do we want to stay a victim, or do we want to exercise and walk in victory over our circumstances? And in so doing, reach out and touch the lives of others. And AIM offers us the opportunity of wonderful products, especially more than ever in the time that we are going through now. to be able to reach out and share with others. But first, we have to have our own testimony. And I think that's what has been so real today, Leah, is your own testimony. That's what we need to have, that we can share with others. So I want to thank you. We have gone over time, but it has been so worthwhile, because I know that there's been a lot of planning behind the scenes. And I really want to thank Charlotte for that, and Keith for always opening up their home to everybody. But before we go, I do want to give anybody the opportunity, if they would like to say something. You don't have to show your face, but if you would like to say something to Leah, if you would like to just give feedback, or if you would like to say hi, please take the opportunity to do that. I think that interaction and just sharing is so, so important. So just know that it's going to be on the recording, but if you would like to, because people are popping into the chat box and I can't read everything that is in the chat box, it just scrolls too quickly. But if you would like to say something to Leah, you can go ahead now and unmute yourself and share something.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes,
I can hear you, Monique.
Okay, perfect. Leah, I just wanted to thank you so much for sharing your story. I could see that, it's still painful for you and just everything that your family has gone through, but it's so inspiring to hear that healing is taking place on so many different levels. And I'm just praying that continued healing for yourself and your family. And I'm so thrilled to hear that your son is doing so much better now. Blessings to you. Thank you.
thank you so much.
Well,
I appreciate the
Monique, I
prayer.
love this platform. Monique, you just want to tell us, am I correct? I think you were from the Bahamas and you're now in Canada, but you're also new to AIM, aren't you? Because we haven't met you at any of the conferences, but it's so wonderful to have you join us on this platform. So just tell us, just give us your background. How long have you been with AIM and where do you live?
I'm originally from Jamaica.
Right.
I live in Canada now. I mean, Bahamas, we're somewhat close, relation, geographically. But I live in Canada and I've been an AIM member since March of last year. So almost a year, but still a newbie compared to a lot of folks on here.
Well, thank you. Great.
Thank you.
On board with us. Is
Thank
there
you.
anything else?
Oh, no, thank you.
Anybody else want to say hi?
Hello, Leah. This is Cecily from New York. I would just like to say a very short phrase. And everything I'm feeling and how I've been blessed is to let you know that your pain has a purpose. God bless you.
Thank you. Yeah, I do. I do. Thank you very much. Yeah, yeah.
Thank you, Cecily. Anybody else?
Hi, Leah. I heard your testimony. So my wife just joined into the membership. Just maybe like 2 months ago. But we heard many testimony in the from our church friends. It's many years, many years. Because of COVID, I believe many people, they have difficulties because of, the job or something, and we just choose to sell this health product and to try to survive. And my wife was used to be a nurse. Now it's very hard. So your testimony is very encouraging, and I believe so many people, they believe in God, and they are just like us, and we need to trust Him. And if God opened the door for us, and we need to go through it, no matter how hard it is, right? And yeah, I just want to say thank you. Yeah, God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sen. Now, this is the first time I see your name. Welcome. It's great. Maybe you can just tell us where you are from and how you got to hear about AIM and how you came onto our Zoom, because I know I haven't seen your name before, but a warm welcome to you. Do you want to tell us where you're from?
Sure. So my wife is not here, so she had she had a
Hold on a minute. Yes, go ahead.
yeah, she had a chiropractor appointment today, so she's not here with me. I'm trying to listen, and then I can tell her what happened here. So I'm originally from China, and we just got married last year, last October. So we met through our church friends, and she's Canadian. I'm Chinese, so it's kind of like international marriage or something. But God put us together, right? God put us together. So if there's no God, so there's no our marriage. So so we have the same belief. So her background is a little bit like interesting, because her parents from a Mennonite community is similar like Amish, you know. So that she received the email today, because she said she found an email came into her junk box many times, but she didn't know how to figure that out. But she checked her email, and she just found, oh, there's a seminar today. Just happened this morning. Just happened this morning.
Word.
Yeah, and she said, "Oh, there's an Amish lady will have her testimony, and maybe you can just watch and see what happens." And I just came and joined into our meeting. Yeah.
That is great. And where do you live? Do you live in Canada?
Yeah, I'm living in Canada. We are living in Canada, London, Ontario. It's 2 hours from Toronto.
Well, that is wonderful. We've got some other Canadians with us today as well. So, you know, great to have you on this platform. And the person who invited you, or the email she got, great for you to follow up, and lovely to have you with us. Thank you for your wonderful feedback too.
Thank you. Oh, I have another question. Like, because we are just a new member, we heard AIM products from our church friends, like what I said. But that lady, she just used AIM product. So she didn't start her business to sell the product to the other people. So it's a little bit different than us. So we want to be like a representative, and we can make that as our family business. So we don't know like if there's any community or online group and we can join in.
Okay, do you have an email address? Do you have an email address?
Yes.
Do you want to give it to me?
Sure.
Or other, I don't know if you want to give it over this platform, but I'd like to follow up with you after the meeting.
Yeah, that's not a problem. That's not a problem. I just tap into the chat box. Okay.
Yes. Let me have your email and I will follow up with you. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
So please give me your email so that that we can follow through with you. And thank you for that, Nancy. Okay, I'd really like to follow up with you. So if you can just give me your email, that'll be great. Then is there anybody else who, or any of you can email us on info info@chrysalisnetworks.com. CHRYSALIS, Chrysalis Networks. You spell NETWORX. info@chrysalisnetworks.com. Okay, so thank you. I've got that. And then, is there anybody else? So thank you. Then we'll get back to you. Is there anybody else who would like to share something?
Joanna, Cheryl.
Hi, Cheryl. I thought you could say something. This is my upline who introduced me to AIM. Hi, Cheryl.
Yes, hi, I'm Cheryl from South Africa. And I was messaging Joan as I was listening to Leah. But Leah, I just want to say thank you for sharing your testimonies. After each one, I feel that I've been changed by just listening to them. I really love and appreciate your heart and your mind. I love how positive you are. And you've just been so real and open with your family stories and journey. And I was just thinking, I just wish that there were so many more people on to hear, because I know what it's done for me. You stand as a light, you stand as a beacon, I think, for your faith, how you believed for your son and for his salvation. That really touched me, and your belief in the AIM products. So thank you, and God bless and bless your family, and also thank you to Charlotte.
Thank you, Cheryl. Thank you so much. Is there anybody else? I don't know if I'm allowed to ask you this. I don't know if I'm allowed to ask you this, but somebody had to go now, and they said, thank you, you really blessed them. And they are saying, are we allowed to ask how old you are, Leah?
Well, I have a birthday tomorrow. Then I'll be 48 years old.
Oh, my word. So, wishing you a wonderful happy birthday and a very, very blessed year. So, birthday blessings from all of us. Okay? From all of us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Charlotte. Thank you, Ilse, there for giving my email. Okay, I think there's more people who've unmuted themselves. So you're going to get such lovely feedback and messages, but also birthday blessings. See? Muriel?
Leah, we enjoy it so much. And something that was given to me when I went through it with my daughter's sickness, this was a saying: God often uses your deepest pain as a launching pad for your greatest calling. And God has used you mightily today in my heart and in many hearts. Thank you, thank you. God bless you richly. Thank you
very much.
Well, Leah, that is Muriel from Canada, and I know they've also gone through a lot of pain and suffering, and you can see Muriel sitting there in her study in Canada with all the AIM products there behind her, and we are also very grateful that we could be in your home, Muriel. Chris and I had a beautiful lunch with you and George, and thank you. This is what this platform is about. It's about all of us encouraging each other. Cecily also says happy birthday to you, Leah. Okay, I think Nancy has also unmuted herself. Nancy, would you like to say something?
I would like to. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
I'm not sure how well I'll get through it, but I'm just wanting to clarify, number one, that I realize now it wasn't Charlotte that I was listening to, and it was Leah all along. I came on a little bit late, and Leah, I just wanted you to know, I know it's you that has spoken so strongly to my needs of my heart today, but I'm afraid I'll break up with weeping, but weeping may last for the night and joy comes in the morning. We know you've just spoken power to my weakness so strongly that I bless you.
Beautiful.
Thank you very much.
Is there anybody else? I'd like to really give everybody an opportunity who would like to say something.
Yes, Joan, I would love just to speak a blessing over Leah. She blessed us so tonight, and yeah, it's a phenomenal story, and you touch so many people's hearts. Thank you for that raw testimony. It was beautiful. So I want to speak Numbers 6, verse 24 to 26 over you, Leah. The Lord bless you and watch God and keep you. The Lord make his face to shine upon and enlighten you and be gracious, kind, merciful, and giving favor to you. The Lord lift up his approving countenance upon you and give you peace, tranquility of heart, and life continually, Leah. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I am blessed to be your friend.
Thank you, Leah. There's still people saying happy birthday to you. Thank you, sir. Is there anybody else? Okay. We still have people typing in happy birthday, but one last opportunity. Would anybody else like to say something or add something? Michelle?
Happy birthdays.
Hey, Leah. Thank you so much for your testimony. I know that had to have been painful for you to recount those memories, and I just appreciate you so much doing that. And we will be praying for your son, that he continues to make progress, and blessings on you and your family, and happy birthday.
Thank you so much. Oh.
All right. Happy birthday. Beautiful, Leah. Wishing you a year filled with God's most abundant blessings. And that's coming from Clarissa in Cape Town. Okay. One last opportunity, and then I'm going to ask Charlotte just to say hi and wrap up. Anybody else? I know there are some special names on tonight, Leah, and I know that everybody has been touched. Does somebody want to say something? Okay. All right. I'm going to thank you, Leah. Thank you so much for your time, and be blessed. And we actually know that we're going to want you back by popular demand to chat with us and just to stay connected. Thank you very, very much, and God bless you. Charlotte,
Thank you so much, Joan.
Thank you. Charlotte, we want to thank you also for everything you do, and we're looking forward to having you chat to us soon too. So thank you, Charlotte. I don't know if there's anything any one of you want to say in closing.
Thank you so much for allowing us to have this platform, Joan. It's just beautiful to see how Leah has become a speaker. And she's given testimony a time or two at our Ohio conference. And so I told her, now we're going to have our Ohio conference in June. So I told her, be ready. She has to speak again this year. So thanks to all of you for your friendships and your love. I'm so thankful for this platform. So appreciate it. Thank you, Joan.
Yes, thank you. And I want to encourage all of you. I know everybody has their own story. I know everybody has their own struggles. So yeah, if I can just encourage everybody to try not to focus on your struggles and your problems, and try to focus. And I read it in Revelations, and I have gone back to try to find it, and I have not been able to find it. I have to search more. But in Revelations, we read about the power of God, how he can use his power through us if we let him. And that I would almost give anything to remember where I read it. I don't know why I didn't write it down, because usually I do if I read something like that. But that really, really helped me. The verse that I read in Revelations about God's power. It's if we can focus on God, I have learned that our troubles do not seem near as big if we can focus on God. If we put our focus on God instead of on ourselves, it can just make such a big difference in our life, or it has for me, and I'm sure it can for everybody. So I just want to encourage you all. I am no different from all of you. I'm no better than anybody else. I know every Christian has their struggles in one way or the other. I know that. But if we can just, encourage each other and keep the faith, and one day, if not here, we'll meet each other in heaven. Thank you so much, Joan.
Thank you. I don't think I'm going to say anything else in closing, because I'm going to leave it on that note. God bless, and see you all next time.